Hello friends, I am Manoj Goyal, co-founder of the Wall Street School. I am also a registered company valuer. At the Wall Street, we have trained more than 7,000 candidates in the field of financial modeling, valuation and equity research. Friends, in the comment section of our previous videos, many people have requested to cover valuation topic in detail. Catering to the same, we have made this separate video to cover major point on valuation, such as what is valuation, how valuation is different from pricing, what are the various methods to value a company. At the end of this video, we have discussed DCF method of valuation, which is of utmost importance in this field. So watch this video till end. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, let us start. In this video, I am going to talk about what is valuation, what exactly you mean by the term valuation, what characteristics an asset should have to be valued, what's the difference between valuation and pricing, how valuation of asset is determined, then we'll discuss that. Right, we'll talk about various approaches that as an investment banker we use to value particular company or a division of company or any other asset. Right, let me tell you very clearly, there are n number of approaches to value a particular asset depending upon the use case. In this case, we will be talking about primary approaches that are used by investment banks to value a particular asset. Then out of all the approaches, the most popular one and the theoretically most believed approach is discounted cash flow, that is DCF. So in this video, I'll be talking about what's the logic behind using DCF. Then I'll be talking about detailed steps that we apply to prepare a model in which we calculate discounted cash flow value, that is intrinsic value of a particular asset. Right, this is a kind of video series in which I'll be talking about theory of a particular valuation approach in one video, and in next video I'll be giving you a DCF model. Then I'll be talking about another approach in next video, and then next video I'll be giving you a model for that approach. Right, so this is how it is structured. I'm really excited to bring you this. Let us talk about what is valuation. So what I did was I quickly went to google.com and searched meaning of the term valuation. So as per google.com, valuation is an estimation of worth of something, and I couldn't agree more with Google. Right, I fairly agree with this definition. It is a process of estimating worth of something. So it is this part is not really relevant, especially carried out by professional valuer. That's okay. So the important point to focus here is something, what that something is. So there are two kinds of assets available in the world: the assets that are being priced or that can only be priced, and assets that could be valued as well as priced. So assets like gold, like Bitcoin, very popular these days, like silver, these assets can only and only be priced. The reason is these assets do not generate any future cash flows, so they can only be priced, they can never be valued. Right, for contrary side of things, assets like a company or maybe a loan given or a project, these assets are going to generate cash flows in future. Right, if you start a business, if you put in say X amount of money, it will give you some money every year till the end of that project. Right, so these assets generate cash flows in future. So you can use the cash flows generated by those assets in future to determine its present value. Right, now we understand the difference between valuing something and pricing something. Now let us move ahead and talk about specifically what is valuation, what is pricing. Right, I have heard this many times and you might as well. Pricing is something that what you pay and value is what you get. So pricing to determine that in monetary terms is very easy. It's basically what you have paid. But value to determine that in monetary terms at times becomes a bit difficult. And valuation is a process that helps you to determine what you get in monetary terms. So to determine value of anything, value of any asset is driven by four things: the cash flows that it is able to generate from its existing assets, the cash flows that it will be able to generate from the assets that it is going to purchase in future, basically future cash flows. Then how fast these current assets as in existing assets will grow, so growth rate. And then at what rate of discount or at what rate you are able to fund these assets. These four factors determine value of any particular security or value of any particular company. At the same time, price is driven by demand and supply, that is expectations about the future, current momentum, current trend in stock markets or a current trend about that asset in the markets, and mood of investors, right? These things determine pricing of something. How can mood determine pricing of something? Imagine you desperately want to watch Avengers का first day first show released in India. Ticket का price is 500, but it's all booked. But you have to watch it. You are in a mood to watch it. Someone says you, I'll sell you ticket in black, let's say for 1000 rupees. And if you are desperate to watch that movie, you'll be ready to pay that, right? So pricing is determined by mood, momentum and expectations. But valuation is determined by primarily cash flows, growth rate and cost of capital, right? Now let us move ahead and talk about approaches to the valuation. What are the primary approach that investment bankers uses to value a particular asset? The whole exercise of valuation is to remove that biasness caused because of mood, momentum or any other thing, right? So as an investment banker, we use three techniques to determine value of any asset. The first one is, it is based upon its income. How much income that asset, let's say a company, is able to generate in future. Based on that, I can determine its present value. Or I can determine its value based upon the assets it have in place. That is, market value of all the assets available to the company. Or I can determine value of a particular company based on how any other similar company or how similar companies to my target company is being priced by the market, right? In income based approach, there are two broad approaches, that is dividend discount model and discounted cash flow. In this video, we will be focusing on DCF approach. In next videos and in upcoming videos, we'll be talking about dividend discount model as well as liquidation value model, as well as trading comps, also known as public company analysis, and transaction comps, also known as precedent transaction analysis or merger comparables, right? So all these methods have different logics behind them, and we use all five methods very frequently in investment banking domain to determine value of any particular asset. In this video, we are going to focus on income based approach, specifically discounted cash flow method. Now let us talk about the logic behind DCF approach, that is discounted cash flow approach. Imagine you know a security is currently priced at ₹100 and it is going to give you cash flow of say 50 rupees at the end of first year, 50 rupees at the end of second year and 50 rupees at the end of third year, right? You know these cash flows with certainty, and your opportunity cost, that is cost of capital, is around 15%. If you know these things, you can very well calculate, is this security overvalued or undervalued in the market, and based upon that you can decide whether you want to invest in the security or not. So if I want to determine value of anything, if I know cash flows with certainty, if I know cost of capital with certainty, and how long I'll be receiving this cash flow, then I can determine this value, right? So value of any security is present value of all its future cash flows basically, and this is the logic behind DCF. So for valuing a company, if you can predict what are the cash flows that company is going to generate, free cash flows basically that company is going to generate in future, and if you can discount those cash flows to using a particular rate to present value, and if that market price is less than the value that you have calculated, also known as intrinsic value, in that case you will buy this. And if market price is more than the value that you have calculated, in this case you will sell it or you will not invest in this, right? So the logic behind this is value of anything is present value of all the cash flow that it is going to give you. Now let us move ahead and talk about steps that an investment banker follows to calculate intrinsic value, that is discounted cash flow value of any security. In this case I am going to take example of a particular company, right? So first step is to forecast future free cash flows. I'll talk about what do I mean by this word free. Firstly, let us understand every business follows a life cycle, right? That is, a business will have high growth phase in first initial years, then it will have a moderate growth phase, and once this moderate growth phase is over, then it will continue its business till infinity. That is, it will be a going concern. This is high growth phase, this is moderate growth phase, and this is steady growth phase, right? If I am trying to project something, I can do it for this period. I can project the cash flows the business will be generating for high growth period, the cash flows that business will be generating for moderate growth period, but I am assuming this steady growth period will last till infinity. So how do I project something that is till infinity? Thank God maths comes to the rescue. I'll talk about this projection of values till infinity, but what I do is I project cash flows in these two phases and long-term growth rate, that is sustainable growth rate for this phase. Once I am done with these cash flow projection, I move towards calculation of free cash flows. What do I mean by this free cash flow? That is cash flow for business after doing all of its expenses, after accounting for its working capital needs, that is the amount that it needs to sustain this business, and accounting for its investment needs, that is investments in fixed assets, that is the investments that it needs to expand. So this is for sustenance and this is for expansion. After this, whatever is left with, it belongs to the entire firm, right? This is free cash flow to firm, FCFF. Another thing that you can do is, instead of calculating FCFF, what you can do is you can calculate the cash flows, then you can subtract its working capital needs to sustain the business, then you can subtract its fixed assets needs to expand the business. After that, you can subtract the repayment that you need to do to debt providers. In this case, whatever is left will be only belonging to equity. Then once you have paid whatever you had and whatever was committed to debt holders, the amount that is left will belong to equity shareholders. This is known as FCFE, right? So you project free cash flow to firm or free cash flow to equity. Once you have these FCFF or FCFE, then you want to discount these. So intrinsic value was present value of all future cash flows. So you have your future cash flows, you need to discount them to calculate present value. So you calculate weighted average cost of capital, that is basically on an average what is the cost of capital for debt holders as well as equity holders on an average, and KE is on an average what is the opportunity cost of capital for equity shareholders. You calculate this. There are multiple models available to do this, but the most popular one is capital asset pricing model. So you can use CAPM model, that is risk-free rate plus beta multiplied by return of market minus risk-free rate. This is the CAPM formula that you can use to calculate cost of equity, basically a discounting rate, right? So what you do is, if you have calculated FCFF in part 1, in step number 1, then you discount free cash flow to the firm by discount rate or cost of capital of the firm, that is WACC. If you have calculated FCFE, then you can discount them using KE, cost of equity, right? Cash flows to the firm will be discounted with cost of capital to the firm, and cash flows to the equity will be discounted with cost of capital to equity shareholders, right? This could be done for this period and this period. These cash flows can easily be discounted using a particular rate. But what about this period? What do I do to calculate whatever I am going to generate till infinity ka present value? And the answer is, I calculate terminal value. Calculation of terminal value. So there are two popular models that are used to calculate terminal value for any asset. First one is Gordon growth model. This is nothing but sum of infinity. And this is exit multiple approach. This is also called as exit multiple approach. Okay, so constant growth model is also known as Gordon growth model. In this model, what you do is you say cash flow of next year divided by your rate of discounting minus sustainable growth rate. This mathematically should give you sum till infinity ka present value. I cannot prove you this mathematically how this is derived, but if you are comfortable with arithmetical progression, you should be fairly equipped to derive this formula. In multiple approach, what you assume is once the business have attained this sustainable growth rate, that is, it is out of high growth phase, it is out of moderate growth phase, and it will go around sustainable growth rate, that is approximately at the growth rate of gross domestic product, then what you do is you assume that owner would not want to be in this business anymore. He would want to move to his next industry where he could enjoy high growth phase. So he would want to sell this business at this point in time. So he could sell this business at this point in time 2 times of his EBITDA, 10 times of EBIT, 5 times of his sales. So basically you have to determine that. So multiple approaches times of operating metrics. Right? It could be times of sales, times of EBIT, times of EBITDA, times of NOPAT, times of NOPLAT, times of PE ratio. You have to really decide which model to use, whether you have to use constant growth model or exit multiple, depending upon the company that you are trying to value and depending upon the transaction that you are trying to go around, right? Once you have calculated terminal value, you have to move towards calculating present value of terminal value. So basically in step number 2 and step number 3, what you have done is, in this cycle, you have calculated these cash flows and then present value, these cash flows and then present value, and then in step 3, these cash flows and their value till this point in time. You have to discount it back to time 0. So you bring these cash flows to time 0 by calculating present value. You bring these cash flows to time 0 by calculating their present values, right? This is known as present value of operations. Many practitioners call it as value of firm, but this is technically not correct. This is present value of all operations, right? Present value of all the operating activities that business is able to do in future. Once you have value of operations, you move towards the next step, in which you add non-operating items that currently business is owning. So its value is whatever it is going to generate in future ka present value. At the same time, if it have some cash, it have some investments, you add these things and then you arrive at present value of firm. This is value of firm. This is not value of equity shareholders. Basically you are adding non-operating assets here. Once you have present value of firm, that is value of debt plus value of equity, basically all the sources of capital, then from this value of firm, if you deduct value of debt, you will be able to arrive at value of equity. So present value of firm minus debt payments, whatever you have to do, net of tax, principal, interest, both the things, you will be able to arrive at equity value of company, the entire implied equity value of the company. Then if you divide these equity value of the company by diluted number of shares outstanding, you will be able to arrive at implied value, implied intrinsic value per share. Right? These are the detailed steps that investment bankers follow to calculate intrinsic value of a particular company or security. In this video, we have discussed DCF model in detail. In next few days, I'll be uploading a detailed DCF model. Right? Whatever theory we have discussed today, we'll be applying that in valuing a particular company using discounted cash flow analysis. Right? As and when that video is ready and uploaded, you can find video ka link in description below. Till that time, thank you for watching. I hope this video added some value to your time. If you want to ask us anything, feel free to reach us at thewallstreetschool.com or maybe in comment section below. We are very active at both the places. Thank you.